just want to reiterate what Dr. Phelps said. They will be back in school tomorrow. I'll be at the bus ramp with a sign and say, I love you. Let's show love to them that are coming back. Let's show support, because we are Forsyth strong. We are Forsyth strong. So I'll open up the floor for any questions that you all may have.
So my question is for Dr. Phipps. Dr. Phipps, Daily Statement, ABC 45 News. Can you commit to the daily use of the open gate weapon detectors that you do have in the high schools right now?
Yes, I made that request as a directive yesterday, that what we do have will be used on a daily basis. And then I want to determine what else we need to do to be able to have that use at the level that we want it to be. But I can certainly tell you that what we have, we're going to deploy and use, and then we're going to seek the opportunity to be able to get more.
And a follow-up to that question, what are the procedures in place for drug policies?
I don't know how to answer that question yet. I can have that conversation with you.
What are the different types of support that you will be offering to the students tomorrow? I know you said that you personally will be there. Is there going to be a crisis team, increase of counselors? Talk a little bit more.
There will be. Our crisis team will be on site tomorrow. We've already reached out to faculty and staff. We've had opportunities for students who wanted to come in to be able to do that. But we will be there tomorrow to render that aid tomorrow and as long after that we need to do that. These are individuals that are professionals that are trained in crisis, and we have too many opportunities to practice and build the skills in that area, but we've got a great group of professionals that are there to minister to everyone in that building, and we'll do so as long as needed.
And how far do you think that will continue? Is it just this week and next week, or are you going to keep continuing that?
We'll meet the need as long as it exists.
Do you think the budget crisis contributed to this problem, not being able to have enough staff members to actually man those metal detectors?
I believe the medical detectors and the evolution that we've seen in the security system allows us to do work with fewer individuals. And the question is moving a full student body through a weapons deterrent system, and the ability to get that done effectively and efficiently is something that we want to look at. And a part of that is just the hardware of the materials that we have, but then also accentuating that with the rest of the security system detail that we have, we need to work on. And I mentioned that earlier. It's not just about a metal detector. It's about all the other pieces that are involved with that, including the mental health well-being of our faculty and staff, and the things you've heard today that extend out into the community that we need to work on.
Dr. Phipps, will the bystanders of this fight or the videographers of this fight face any school-level consequences?
Because it involves student discipline, I'm just not at liberty to be able to share that with the public.
How big was this knife, and how was it able to get through the doors? Was it an open gate used that day?
The open gate system was not used that day. I don't have any information personally about the knife. Sheriff, speak to that.
3 inches.
Is it confirmed that it was in fact his knife, the victim's?
Yes.
Do we know who brought the THC pen on campus?
Yes.
Who was that?
Again, I think here's my answer on that, and for what I'm getting from the district attorney on that one, right? While you may see it's relevant, I don't see the point in sharing that information, that part right there.
I have a question for Dr. Phipps. So I'm going to set back up the podium, please. Touching back on the social media video that's been circulating, are there going to be changes to the school district to their phone policy in light of this video being shared on social media?
Again, we want to look at every situation that happens and what opportunities are there to either tighten up policies or try to create situations where we avoid things that happen. That's something that we will look at in addition to all the other pieces. As you're aware, there's a new law that the General Assembly put in place in terms of students having cell phones in use. We know that every situation like this is going to be extraordinarily different than what a typical custom school day is, and we want to look at that and try to determine what's needed. I just can't answer that now without having that input and feedback from others.
Superintendent, would you be open to parents or guardians who are willing to possibly volunteer to help man the metal detectors and other safety procedures? Would the district be open to that idea?
I would be open to having conversation about that. I don't know what the guidelines are in terms of the use of those deterrent devices. But if that's the resource that's lacking, then I think we have to be creative and look. But I also know that there's some requirements when you're doing that type of work. So without committing to that, I would say certainly we'll be open to the conversation and put that on the table.
Given the district's financial standing currently, I mean, is there any wiggle room for any further financial investments into safety at school?
Well, for the open gates devices, to get what we feel like we need and would like to have, we're looking at just shy of $2 million. And that would have to be, and there's a lot of fundraising that's gone on that's not related to this at all. And I don't want there to be community fatigue for raising funds, but I think when a situation like this happens, it shines a light on a critical time and a critical need, and that would certainly be something that we would love to be able to have, is the influx of those funds to be able to purchase those pieces of equipment. Again, so that every parent knows that when their child gets dropped off or they get they drop, they're going to be scanned and checked every day.
Donation efforts are probably going to be the lead in making that change.
That's part of the conversation of being able to articulate what our need is and then what we need to do to be able to get yes.
You mentioned offering support to students and staff, but how are teachers doing right now?
Teachers are struggling. Every educator who's in this field struggles when a child hurts. And the death of a child and violence on schools it shakes us to our core. And that's not something that you just raise the shade in the morning and you got over what happened yesterday. So when I said our student services team is there to render support to our students, they're also there to render support to our staff. And we've got to work with them. We've got to minister to those needs. And there's not a set cycle that you go through. Everybody deals with this differently. And these kinds of things can trigger something that's completely unrelated that would have a person have some emotional turmoil that we want to try to get in and meet that need. But we heard earlier, we've perfected certain things in the county. We want to perfect what we're doing in the education arena. And we've got to be able to focus on education and not these other things. But these other things take top priority, and we know that. I told you that that's the biggest need and the biggest concern that an educator has. Work with us and help us be able to resolve that so that we can focus on the things that we'd rather be talking about. High student achievement, great success that students have in school.
Due to this incident, are there any youth violence initiatives that you all will be implementing or the school district planning for the future?
We've had a number of folks outside of our school system who have reached out with programs, services, and offerings, and we're looking at all of that. Not everything that happens somewhere is going to fit our need, so we want to make sure that we're looking for services that can render the support and help that we need moving forward.
What will security look like tomorrow on campus?
Security tomorrow will be more than sufficient and efficient. Of course, anytime there's a critical incident, we know that emotions are high. So we'll basically be doubling down as we go back in tomorrow, throughout the rest of the year as well, and probably until school ends this year. We'll figure it out if we have to move people around, but security would be more than efficient tomorrow.
Knowing how big the knife was now, are you able to say whether if they were working
Yes.
on Tuesday?
Yes.
Would that have
Yes.
picked up the knife?
Yes.
Dr. Phipps, how many people over the past fall have been lost in terms of staff at North Forsyth? And have those people, does their role involve behavior? Has the loss of those people affected?
I don't have the number in front of me. It's a significant number. And I can tell you, regardless of what the person's title is, everybody that we have who's an employee or a staff member contributes to the well-being of our students. And if we lose just one, it's changed the dynamic of what we work on. But we have to work with where we are and try to provide as much support as we can, again, with the resources we have, and we're committed to doing that.
A follow-up question with that, Dr. Phipps. There has been some concern from community members that if an assistant principal was there, that this fight, this altercation could have been resolved, prevented. Was there an assistant principal originally at North Forsyth High School, and were they moved this year because of the budget?
I don't know that information. Again, I can find that out for you. And I'm sorry, without that background, I just don't know those specific details.
You mentioned taking another look at policies and procedures and protocols at the school, but how soon could it be that we could see an increased security measure done at the school?
Well, you're going to see it as effective as early as today. as we've had our meetings. And then we have to determine what those other layers are, what those protocols may be, how significant the changes are, what resources are needed. But we're not waiting. We don't have time to wait. So we've started using what we can, hopefully more effectively today.
Did this altercation happen in a passing period, or was it during class time?
I'm not sure of the schedule.
So, if you remember, school was on a 2-hour delay on Tuesday. School typically starts at 8:45 at North Forsyth. The call came in at 11:04. It's what time the deputy called it in, needing assistance. So, based on the time, school had have already started about 15 minutes.
Can you confirm that moving forward, the metal detectors will be in use on a daily basis at all schools in the district, or?
The sheriff, there will be a school system question. The sheriff's office, for clarity, the sheriff's office doesn't dictate the metal detectors in the school. That is a school district policy, procedure, and decision.
I've said it twice, I'll say it a third time, they will be used every day in our schools,
Okay, and that's moving forward. Just
starting today.
Dr. Vickers, you are newer to this community, but we know that you have experience in other communities. Have you ever experienced an incident like this and the aftermath, and how did you handle that?
My career began as a school psychologist. So I was in Cumberland County, a district very similar to this size, and served as the executive director of student services. So I led the trauma outreach. And it's unfortunate that, and we don't keep a scoreboard, but every death, every loss of a student or a staff or a traumatic event is significant. They're all a little bit different. They're unique in some ways, but at the heart of it is trying to render need to those that need the help, and that's what we're doing here. And we learn something from every situation. We'll debrief the incident, we'll debrief our response to the incident, and we'll try to be better as we move forward.
Will this 18-year-old face any in-school consequences? Is he expected to return to North Forsyth?
Again, I can't speak about specific student information like that.
Superintendent, given your background as in psychology as well, and having students return to school tomorrow, how do you make sure that your students, teachers, and staff are in the right mind state and frame to learn and also deliver information to kids given the recent event that just happened? Do you feel like students, teachers are returning to school maybe too soon?
Well, I don't know that there is a right time because everybody processes and goes through this at different rates. I think my response to that would be the same thing that we take in terms of educating our children. And I think we have to know each student as a unique individual that they are. We have to know where they are. Teachers spent time yesterday reaching out to students to get an assessment of where they were. We've also done the same thing. We want to make sure that our staff are okay. And there may be some that aren't in a right mind space to be there tomorrow, and we want to work with them as we go through. That's far more important than the formal academic work that needs to be done. We have to take care of the mental well-being and the safety of these individuals before we can focus on that.
And overall, what was some of the feedback that you got from, again, your crisis trauma response team who were talking to students, teachers, and staff?
Well, it's difficult. I mean, every situation is different, but the hurt is real, the fear is real. It's just something that we just don't want to have to deal with, but we have to plan for. And the trauma is a heavy issue to deal with, and it has many tentacles and facets. And we just can't go in with one solution. We have to be very broad in terms of what we do, and we're working on that.
Dr. Phipps,
Everyone, we're going to
So
finish the
we're-
questions now.
So I'll allow one more question, then we're going to close it up since you started. Finish your question.
I did have one more question for Dr. Phipps. We talked about reviewing emergency protocols and policies. How quickly were parents notified of the situation? How were they contacted? And quite frankly, we did hear from parents who were concerned by what seemed like a lack of communication between the district to them about the situation and meeting up with their students at the Joel Coliseum.
And Amanda, our Chief Information Officer, will follow up on that. We were immediately giving information, but we can't give what everybody wants. And folks want to know specific details that we're just not able to provide in the middle of a crisis situation, but we'll follow up on that.
Again, I want to thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all. I love this community. We will continue to be better every day, and we will get through this together because we are Forsyth strong. Again, have a good rest of your day. Thank you.